Today we are a show of second chances, and Roland, we're looking at you as we look at Independence Day. Hello everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they hold up. I'm holed up today with Kyle and Andrew. Gentlemen, how are the energy levels today?
Splendid. Amazing. Can't complain.
That was too many. I'll go with, good.
Can you give me one more? If it's not there, it's okay. Good.
Sedentary.
Good. There
So
you go.
usually it's like a verbiage for a dog, like it was dog shit and then it was dog piss.
This could be dog vomit.
Dog vomit.
Mm-hmm. But like we're going to have to dissect that, though, because there's many types of dog vomit. So this will just be, I ate my food, I drank too much water, and it's whole food, but it's expanded like a sponge. Easy to clean up, but wet.
So you're feeling heavy right now.
Feeling quite heavy.
You know what's even heavier is we're back on the Roland Emmerich train.
It seems like we never stopped.
Yeah.
We should never.
After last week, that was brutal. It took me a while to recover from that one, but I'm glad we're here. Everyone deserves a second chance.
I think he's had plenty of chances. Maybe not in the sci-fi realm at first.
Many chances he didn't even deserve.
Correct, but we did figure out he has had quite the storied film repertoire over the course of the last 30 years with some pretty prolific movies.
He's basically Michael Bay. He's another Michael Bay.
He's what Michael Bay wanted to be.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
You know? But like when you make enough money, do you really give a shit?
No. I mean, that showed in his products, but
Correct.
And we were unfair to cast the stone in him last week because we did attack his worst film, I think. And right now we're going to go back to probably his best. This movie gained a lot of attention. And the movie I'm talking about is Independence Day.
Woo!
Let freedom ring.
Let it rain.
I love America.
Yeah, America.
Even though it's not a global thing, but it's America.
What do we remember about Independence Day?
It's a huge movie about aliens. Maybe like the most stereotypical alien invasion, world takeover, America saves the day movie.
America does save the day, but
it was much more
it was
scale.
a global effort, but I mean, we figured it out first.
You said big alien movie, and this was big on all scales. Yeah. Big as in production cost. It was a blockbuster.
Quintessential summer blockbuster.
Yes.
So I think this just leads us right into, when did this come out?
July 3rd, 1996.
Those sons of bitches.
Wow.
But there were showings that started on July 2nd.
Wow.
Like 11 p.m.
Just in case.
July 2nd.
A midnight movie, too. A midnight release. You know your movie was big if it got a midnight release.
Well, I've got some numbers for you if you want to hear them.
Let's hear them, Andrew.
So, budget.
Andrew's our number guy.
Y'all want to guess budget?
Budget, I'm going to guess $328 million.
Quite a bit lower, 75 million actually.
Wow.
Just 75 million.
That's
Really?
it? That's just $75 million.
Domestic opening. They almost made all that back, 50 million and some change.
Wow.
And that's just opening weekend.
That's just opening week. Domestic, 306 million with some change. International, 511 and some change. And then worldwide, 817.5 million.
800. Wait, sorry, one more time.
817 and like 500,000.
Okay, so $1 billion. Let's just go ahead. Let's just go ahead and say that.
Yeah, right under Star Wars numbers at that point.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I did not think that movie did that well. And we talked about Godzilla, and Godzilla didn't do that well.
Well, in terms of gross, it was the second highest grossing in that era, which I guess was be like mid to late 90s. The only thing that beat it at that time was Jurassic Park. Nothing really came close to breaking that 300 until Titanic in 98. So
It's insane.
it was probably at the
Crazy.
top for some time.
It stars Jeff Goldblum. Who does it not star at this point?
Harvey Firestein.
Harvey Firestein.
Bill Pullman.
I love that man.
Randy Quaid.
Cousin Eddie.
Hey, shout out to you, Randy, whatever prison that you're in. Thank you.
May Q live on.
Whatever car you're staying in right now at the moment.
He's still in prison, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, rot.
Judd Hirsch, too.
Judd Hirsch, yes.
Yeah, and I did not know that until later on.
He was great. He was great comedic relief.
Another all-star cast. and then the great Roland Emmerich with his screenplay. I was reading up before we did this thing, and I realized that this whole movie started as an idea he had for Stargate, which, Kyle, you're a Stargate guy, aren't you?
When I was a child, absolutely. Because it was like, there was no Star Wars entities coming out at that point. So that was the only sci-fi you could grab, that and the TV show they made. So, and I thought the cinematography was really good.
He said he was touring with Stargate for a while. Emmerich was. His brilliant idea was like, what if aliens attacked Earth?
Whoa. Are you kidding me?
I saw this quote from him, and he said, I was on tour, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be crazy if someone just opened their door and saw a UFO over their head in Los Angeles?
Whoa.
Oh, dude.
And broad nightlight?
Broad day night life.
That he was the first.
He was the
to
first.
conceptualize
Wow.
that.
So
What an original idea that he just took and ran with. I'm surprised they didn't win an Oscar.
Actually did win an Oscar.
For what? Best actor?
Special effects, actually.
I mean, that would make sense.
And it was nominated for Best Sound, but it won for special
It would make
effects.
sense for best sound. I will say the practical effects were pretty good.
Emmerich at this time is coming off Stargate, which was a success, and also Universal Soldier.
Bad.
I heard nothing but crickets.
Bad.
What a terrible movie. Maybe we'll get to that one.
We may.
I don't know. I think we should maybe just shelve that for eternity. But
Let's see. Well, let's see if Emmerich wins our hearts over with this one, because we don't know our answer. We never know going in
We
if
do
it
not.
held up or not.
We don't.
I can
We
see it in
have to
Kyle's eyes. It's starting to
dissect.
glaze over a little bit.
Yeah, that's just the Prozac kicking in. You just can't really.
So, Will, I do want to talk about one thing too. Will Smith stars in this. Do you know who that they were going to get before Will Smith, or who their idea was?
Eddie
This
Murphy.
is always a fun one. Oh.
That's right around that time.
It's always Eddie Murphy or Will Smith.
I don't.
tell
I'm
us?
trying to.
Just tell
No.
us.
No. We need to guess.
you're not
Let's do
gonna
some
get
work here. Let's do some work here, Andrew. Come on, and don't look it up.
It's not somebody who was like incredibly on fire either.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a hard one.
I might as well just go ahead and tell you, because you can be guessing.
Let me
already.
guess.
You get three guesses.
I only want one.
Okay. You
I
get
think I
one.
got it.
You got one.
Chris Martin from Coldplay.
No.
Was he even he wasn't even a name
Absolutely.
at that point.
Absolutely, they were in
97,
the UK.
97,
And
when they
97,
released
98.
Parachutes?
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
should know that, but
Renamed
I
the
should.
movie Yellow. It was Ethan Hawke.
Oh,
So Ethan
really?
Hawke.
Definitely not heating up at
Ethan
that time.
Hawke.
So it was
One of the
gonna-
best.
It was going to be Ethan Hawke.
I'm a big fan of Ethan Hawke. We had
One-
this conversation just the other day. but-
One of my favorite stories I heard from this too is Ethan Hawke was driving on a road trip in Texas, and he read the script, and he got to the part where they make a reference to E.T. I was trying to remember where that was in the movie. I think that was
Will
like
Smith says,
Smith's-
"Can't wait to get up there and kick ET's ass." Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, man!"
Yeah,
What
wow.
what a memory. And so Ethan Hawke said the movie sucked at that point, took the script and threw it out the window onto the Texas highway.
Easy money, but like his career is on fuego. He is
Yeah.
very good.
He didn't suffer from it, but he might have for a little bit. But at that point in time, though, I don't blame him. And
Me neither. No, I would look at the same. I would look at the script and do the same thing.
so on the highway right now in Texas somewhere is a Independence Day Day One script.
And I mean a laminated one, right?
And I think the moral of the story is Ethan Hawke litters.
Wow.
Cancel him.
Let's be honest, the paper's probably made from old bird's nest or something.
I would assume it only makes sense.
There was also Will Smith's co-pilot.
Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that. I was like, "It's Harry Connick Jr." and you were like, "Whomst?" And I said, "Harry Connick Jr., the musician / actor / Broadway / whomever." He's a
On the other side of Ethan Hawke was almost Matthew Perry. Can you imagine Matthew Perry
R.I.P.,
and Ethan
baby.
Hawke? Yeah, and R.I.P. Matthew Perry for listening to this and the
R.I.P. in peace.
the big Hollywood gate in the sky.
Do you know who almost played President Whitmore?
That I don't remember. The first one that comes to mind is Harrison Ford.
Nope. Think creepier.
Oh no, it's not Kevin Spacey.
It's Kevin fucking Spacey.
Oh, that would have been such a different movie.
Yuck.
Kevin Spacey and Matthew Perry.
You wouldn't have liked the president, I don't think.
I didn't really like the
such a
character.
slime
I
ball.
didn't like him, but like you at least saw that he was somewhat human. Whereas
I acted very robotic to me, but
and that's just how it was written. But
terrible. Yeah.
I will say Jeff Goldblum does absolutely carry a lot of this movie, as he does with most of the movies in the 90s.
I found out that Jeff Goldblum improvised all of his lines.
That tracks.
And that makes me so
He
happy.
usually does that.
What do we remember as kids? Andrew, you gleamed from ear to ear when we even mentioned this movie.
Well, I didn't watch it in '96. I wasn't even 4 years old when
was
it
a
came
fetus.
out. I was like 3 and 1 month away from being 4. But I watched this movie with my dad when I was younger, probably early 2000s, like USA when they have like reruns, or AMC, like late weekday night or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those memories where I'm sitting with the old man on the couch and we're watching it from start to finish, even with the annoying commercials in between. But it was always one of those like guilty pleasure watches that I enjoyed, honestly.
I did not see it when it first came out. Obviously, I was 5 years old. But my mom purchased this thing called a VHS. And I remember, I don't know if either one of you had the VHS of Independence Day, but it had that amazing slipcover that was holographic.
Oh.
And it had the alien ship on it. And if you turned the VHS slightly to the left or right, I think it was the White House that was on it, would explode.
I do remember because when I did watch this, it was at my aunt's house. My aunt Linda, her and my uncle had one of the biggest movie collections, and they were all on VHS, and all of them had like the cool cover art. She was such a movie person, and I remember that holographic because it was like, as a kid, you remember you would take your fingernails across it and it would do that.
I wonder if that was like a first run thing. Even when I went back to the video store later on, like when we were renting stuff, I remember the copies that they had didn't have the holographic thing on it.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been one of those special edition things that you pay extra for.
I remember having that, and we watched it because my dad worked late nights. He was a police officer, so me and my mom would have thanks. I'll tell him that. We would have movie nights every Friday night, and she let me and my brother pick, and it was always either Jurassic Park or Independence Day.
Jurassic Park is one of the best movies that's ever been made, as well as one of the best books that's ever been written. Yeah. So everybody go fuck yourselves.
But I kept picking Independence Day, and my mom was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, yeah.
I want to watch it again.
So when me and Kyle were watching it, the sounds and everything were coming back to me as a kid, sitting there in my parents' living room watching this movie, which as a kid, this movie rocked. It was great.
When you have a small world view, when you're a child, you don't see the realities of the world. What a wonderful fucking movie. Kind of scary, but it wasn't the scariest movie. It wasn't like The Mummy.
Right.
You know, it was a movie that was like palatable, like you're on the edge of your seat. But like when they destroyed the cities, you're not really like, all those lives were snuffed out. You're like, at least the dog survived.
I was so happy when
I was going to turn the music off. Yeah, boomer.
Yeah, and Kyle, did you have the same experience? What do you remember about it?
I like Andrew, saw this first on TV, but I didn't get to watch all of it. We watched it at my aunt's when we were visiting for one of the summers. And I most vividly remember watching it on TV though, with the commercial breaks and everything, because my brother and I would sit in the basement on weekends, and if we weren't able to go convince my parents to go to the movie store, to go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video,
Family Video.
What was your go-to? Was it Hollywood Video?
Hollywood Video was the one, because we had a Blockbuster, but that one went bust pretty quickly, and then Hollywood Video opened up off, I think it was Bridgetown Road.
For the people listening from Cincinnati, if there's anybody from Cincinnati listening, I doubt
Probably plenty.
They're all gone. I died in the fire. I do remember watching this and trying to build Lego that resembled things in this, because I was like, this is so cool. Like, go to Area 51, what is that? I remember asking my dad and like getting an answer that was like, they have stuff there.
Daddy's drinking right now.
But,
go play in your room.
Yes, it's something along those lines.
I don't remember there being many toys, and the ones that I do remember I didn't own, so I don't have any reference to.
This was one that I think there were definitely some toys, like some action figures I do remember of Will Smith in his flight suit. I remember that one.
Yeah. I remember the alien, the one that was in the middle of the movie where you could pull him apart.
Pull the face open. I remember that one, but I don't remember there being anything else except for video games.
Yes.
There was a couple video games. I think I might be wrong, but there might have been a Game Boy video game. I know there was some kind of like Sega or something.
I sent you the PlayStation game, like a video on that. Did you get to check that one out?
I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but
So back in the video store rental days, we rented that Independence Day video game, and it is a monstrosity at that.
is it?
Andrew, did you play the video game, the Independence Day video game on PlayStation?
I know.
You were in a fighter jet flying below the alien spacecraft, and you had to blow up 4 different generators and then attack the ship and blow the ship up. And you advance to the next stage, which, guess what? Was the same thing with just different location.
Oh, good.
So you went to Moscow, D.C., big parts of the world. London, I think, was one of them. We didn't get that far, and it was like super fucking hard because it was one of those early PS1 games where you would fly and you couldn't see anything, and then right when you got close, it would show up.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah, and then
Have
you
to
would
have
explode and
reflexes.
die.
That's good.
And my brother, like, who would beat all the games for me, couldn't even beat it. I remember he exploded
Wow.
and died many times
Wow.
when we got frustrated. And if you rented a video game and it was bad,
You're stuck, baby.
your weekend was fucked.
You're done. You better figure out how to do it.
And we couldn't look it up on the internet to find the cheat codes or the way to beat anything. And half the time you didn't even know you were supposed to tear down the generators because you only had someone whispering in your ear,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the instructions would fly across the screen, and you're like,
There's no way to pause that. Good luck. You better read, eat some carrots, and get your eyesight better. Otherwise,
"Are we ready to dive in, ladies and gentlemen?" Roland Emirates, Independence Day. So Andrew, start us off. What do we open up on here?
I watched this earlier. I'm blanking on what that opening scene
it
is. Why
was
don't you
the
take
it was
away,
the
Kyle?
spaceships in the sky, right?
It was.
Oh.
We opened on the moon.
The moon. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's
Which me and you looked at each other. We were like, "Oh, what a pretty amazing opening! Like it was awesome."
very beautiful.
Yeah, and so you see the moon looks great, and you see the flag from
Yes.
the
From the
Apollo
moon landing,
missions.
yes, with a plaque, some chatter, and then there's just spaceship
Yeah,
with no scale to determine how big that spaceship is.
But you assume it's fairly large.
You would assume it's something. I guess it's bigger than.
A couple of scenes later, they show a satellite running into it, and Kyle goes, "That still didn't tell me the scale." 'Cause-
I have no idea how big that fucking satellite is. What is happening right now? Is this the Hubble telescope?
Yeah.
Or the size of 2 school buses?
Then we go to Earth. We see some stupid scientists hearing this garbage.
Well,
they're in, like,
okay.
the New Mexico desert or something
They're
like that.
they're
Some
in-
station.
They're at a listening station, which these are real. These are real things, and they definitely exist. They listen for communication, essentially from other places or other things that happened way long ago in the beginning of time. It's weird, but these listening stations that they're in, this guy just has a fucking little mini golf set up.
He's just practicing his putting. That's all he's doing.
Because like there's nothing else better to do. It's not like you're getting paid to fucking be there. It would be equivalent of you doing like watching Dr. Pimple Popper at fucking work. Like, do your job.
He probably is getting paid.
I just said he was getting paid,
Oh,
but he's
that's-
getting paid. He's using that. My point is that he's a fucking slacker. So I was already upset with him. Do your job.
Yeah, and
Do your job.
And he hears this like what sounds like a microwave popping popcorn in this sound system, and he immediately knows it's like
It must be an alien.
yeah, it's like
communicating with us.
we're endangered life form, and that I didn't get. And then we rushed to him calling some guy who's in bed with his wife. And the craziest thing is he wakes up, bashes his head, so we have to throw in that comedic element.
Must
and
have
then
to.
he puts the phone, and he's like, "Oh my god."
This really clear phone call I'm getting is really leaving no doubt in my mind. Why even go in at that point? I mean, come on.
And so he goes in, trips over the balls in the golf set, hurts himself again. So in the first 2 minutes of this movie, this guy's hurt himself. He's gotten a concussion and a sprained ankle. They find out that this has to be alien or at least something they've never heard before.
At the very least, but I think we're giving them too much grace here. I think they're like, this is alien communication. It has to be.
It's so absurd already that these like
But you kind of expect it.
Right.
You know what's
Okay,
coming.
willing suspension of disbelief. Yeah. But like, it's not like totally outside of the realm of possibility. but it was just the whole
not
scene.
needed.
It wasn't. It was not needed at all.
It was-
that whole scene could have been, like we said, it could have been a little more serious. And it's like there's a lot of comedy in here it's not dark comedy. It's just comedy for the sake of comedy, and it doesn't hold up.
It's like Looney Tunes comedy. And
Yeah,
like, you got-
slapstick. I'm surprised you didn't slip on a banana peel and hit the fucking nuclear launch code.
But takes you out of it,
It
which
did-
I guess we needed it for later on. Jeff Goldblum's character uses a say, well, whatever. But we're skimming ahead. So they start running around trying to tell all the major authorities.
The higher ups that we're talking about are somewhere. What? It's in the Pentagon somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so they're talking about. My point with this whole thing was that all the people inside that room, Army, Marines, might as well have been the fucking Coast Guard. There's no Air Force people in there. There's nobody who's a specialist on meteors or any kind of like things that are entering the atmosphere.
No
which is what they're-
astronomer at all.
Nobody. Just military people who have the only thing they know about is logistics and battlefield operations and
let's be
tactics.
clear. Emmerich uses the military to the nth degree. in this
Absolutely.
movie. Every character has a military background, and the ones that they look down upon are the ones that don't have a military background, aka Jeff Goldblum.
Who is the one who saves everybody? Spoiler
Can I
alert.
give you a little fun fact?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they commissioned the military to help them with it, but they kind of did in terms of marketing.
Yeah.
And
They absolutely did.
support.
They have to. I think what you're leading into is a good point.
But they backed out for a big plot point. And I'm sure
Is it the Area 51
yes,
plot point? Yeah.
they wanted to leave. They wanted that to be left out for obvious reasons.
You can't
Yes.
leave Area 51 out in an
Yeah, but,
alien
like,
invasion movie.
Here's the
You
thing
can't.
about Groom Lake, Area 51, Nellis Air Force, whatever. Okay, the U.S. Air Force to this day, if you ask them if they have an airfield out in the middle of Nevada desert, they go, "We don't know anything about that."
The first 20 minutes of this movie, you meet so many characters in so many situations. We meet Jeff Goldblum, who's, I guess, in a newsroom.
Did we ever figure out where he was?
We couldn't. I thought he was like an anchor.
I thought he was something to do with news, but then I'm like, well, he's clearly a scientist of some
yeah.
kind. What kind of scientist?
a
I don't
signalist.
fucking know. A
I don't know.
signalist?
All he cares about is the signal that he's hearing from the alien.
Yeah, but what would
network.
that be? What would you be an expert
So
in?
that's where we meet Harvey Firestein.
It is Harvey Firestein.
What a man. Who, by the way, delivers a line that says, I got to call my lawyer. Forget my lawyer. But they had to get him to cut his line because it was supposed to be fuck my lawyer. And they wanted the movie to go PG-13.
Yep,
So
that'll always do it. That'll always do it.
one fuck you. That's all you get.
That's it.
We move quickly along. We open up on the President of the United States.
Boy.
And look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna preface this with everybody out there listening. We get it. We watch a bunch of old movies. There's some things said in old movies that shouldn't be said, nor could be said today.
And probably shouldn't have been said back then.
Right. And this is one that falls in the category of super egregious, can't be there, shouldn't be there, won't be there. So the president's wife calls him from another state. She's off doing something.
She's in California.
California.
Yeah.
He's
on Air Force. Is he in Air Force One at that
no,
point?
he's in D.C.
D.C.
in the
White House.
Yeah,
White House.
The White House. He's in bed watching TV, which is what I imagine all presidents do at all times. And his wife is joking with him. They're having a wonderful conversation. And she says something along the lines of late night or something. I can't remember what she says to spark this, but
I think she calls him and he answers. And then he says something about, you don't be jealous, but I'm sleeping next to a beautiful brunette. And they pan across.
it's
And
his
what is
daughter.
it, Chase? It's his fucking daughter.
laying next to him. And it was so fucking creepy.
It was nasty.
And the way he delivers the line and the little smirk.
You really didn't like it? You really had that big of an issue with it?
I thought it was pretty disgusting.
I didn't think it was that disgusting.
I'm sleeping next to a beautiful brunette.
I'm sleeping next to a beautiful brunette. And think about it now. Kevin Spacey was supposed to play that character. How would you feel
If
now?
it was Kevin Spacey with what we know now, no, it wouldn't be okay.
There's something.
We both stopped. Here's the thing, Andrew. We both stopped and looked at each other, and we were like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
And
I
That's
thought it was
nasty.
cringy, but I didn't like. It did make my skin crawl.
It made
my skin crawl. A little
It
bit.
does
It's just
not.
like, who would say that?
Right.
Who would say that?
Yeah.
You wouldn't say that.
No.
Yeah,
No.
and he implied that he was cheating on his.
That's
wife
what we're
with-
getting at.
With a brunette who happened to be his
daughter.
daughter.
Sorry, we haven't even got to this. His 8-year-old daughter.
So moving along, the president he's moving quickly, and as he's moving through the White House, there's just TVs everywhere playing like news stations. It's like the president's a coward. He's a coward.
That's right, because they talk about his war record. They're trying to establish that he's got bad approval ratings. They're dropping. He's not good.
42% or 38%, I think it was. It was something.
No, they said it's dropped below 40%.
Drop below 40 for sure.
They were establishing that Jeff Goldblum is a genius, but kind of a hippie too.
Yeah, because we didn't talk about him meeting his father in the park and then doing the chess, which we both stopped and said, this is a great shot. You've shot it wrong, though.
Yeah.
Because they just kept on cutting between his father and him, and it's a beautiful, beautiful summer day in New York.
So they're playing. So Jeff Goldblum's character is playing chess with his father in the park with this, like Kyle said, this beautiful backdrop.
Absolutely beautiful.
And they shoot it like a bunch of close-ups.
Super close. And you miss all the background, which in the 90s, before all the fucking pollution that we have now everywhere in the hot-ass summer, it looked quintessential. Like it hit right.
It had that Pixar chess player. It was there to introduce Jeff Goldblum's dad now, as he seemed like a meddling father, but he's
just a loving father.
a loving meddling father. Him and his son were way too close. It didn't make sense to me.
Give him a nice little
Yeah,
kiss in the
kiss
cheek
in
there.
cheek. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like it seemed like they were always together.
Yeah, they were like, no matter what, like joined at the hip kind of thing.
But, and then Jeff Goldblum bikes to work. He gets there and starts getting mad at people for not recycling. Everyone doesn't really like him.
Yeah.
They're smart asses to him because he recycles and he knows things. And he's
the
from
most
military.
put together hippie in the 90s that's
Yeah.
ever existed.
That's what I was trying to get to about character development is like they try to force these like, oh, I need to recycle and I ride my bike to work. And it's like he was wearing like a necklace with a wife beater.
There was a lot of weird shit going on.
Yeah, so it's like, and we're moving so quick. We're like boom, 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 boom with these characters. And then next up is Will Smith living with his girlfriend and her son.
In between there, we start seeing, oh, these things are entering the atmosphere. Oh, we have reports from Moscow. We have reports from Europe. We have reports from blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And they're starting to invade at this point. And there is no, like, immediately, like, there is no, like, I wonder what they're here for. They're invading. They're invading. Everybody get ready. They're invading.
Which I'll be honest, I like that. Like I think I even looked at you. I was like, I like how fast this movie's setting everything up because we get so overly complicated with some of these alien plots of what are they here for.
We would have no idea. We would have zero idea until it happened.
Exactly, and so I thought that was actually a really good movement of the script. It's like they're here to fuck us up. We don't know. Maybe they want our resources. We don't know. We will never know. In the meantime, they force feed us all these very bland characters. Will Smith, this is the worst acting job. He delivers his lines like he is bored out of his mind. And his character is, get this, military.
Wow.
Also a pilot.
When we open up to him and we introduce his character, there's a big thing.
Here we go.
Big bullshit.
This is Kyle's bullshit of the week.
Bullshit. This kid is running around this home, and he is fully dressed, got his backpack on, shoes, and then how old is this child?
Maybe
5 or 6?
Yeah. And
Okay.
And to keep in mind, too, this is Will Smith's girlfriend he's staying with.
Yes.
This is her son, not Will's son.
Yes. They had the child out of wedlock.
Yeah, this was not. I don't even think this was his kid. I
No,
think
it wasn't.
They're sleeping in bed, like laying there, have been asleep all night.
All night.
Yeah, and then this child wakes them up,
Fully clothed.
He comes in the
Dressed.
front door too, like the
Dre-
doggy
yes,
door.
like I'm like, where the fuck was he at? And then he comes in running in. Gotta. Oh, it's too early. It's too early. It's too early. What the fuck? Why are
was
you letting
all-
your child run around like he's a full grown person in and out of the house? Different time. different
not
time.
even that. It almost seemed like the roles were reversed. It seemed like what a parent would say
do.
to a child, who a parent would come in fully clothed.
Be like, come on, gotta
With
get up,
their
gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. And he's like, yeah. And then there's like a little tremor. And then she goes, oh, it's an earthquake. And he goes, oh, okay. And then it happens again. And it's like, well, that can't be an earthquake. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Everybody gets up. Long story short, they go outside. And Will Smith is like going out to get the newspaper. And everybody, cars are crashing. People are like, what the fuck is happening?
Then he leaves because he's a pilot. He gets called to the base. So he has to go suit up for this alien invasion.
Must put on my dress uniform. Let's not be ready in our flight suit. Let's get into
dress, baby.
Let's dress into something that I'll have to dress out of to take more time.
He gives the most insincere goodbye to his girlfriend and her son. You've got alien spaceships in the sky, and you're not really sure what's going to happen with you in the world. And it's like, oh, I got to go. Don't follow me.
Yeah, don't come with me.
Don't come
Meet
with
me.
me.
Meet me there.
We know that the aliens are here. We don't know what they're here for. It seems
Seems a little menacing, though. It's a little intimidating.
And we've established all of our characters, mainly extremely bland. But Harvey Fierstein nails it, though. Like,
absolutely,
comedic timing's really good, but he's got that Broadway presence.
He does. You can tell when he's in there.
Stage actor.
You can tell, and sometimes that does not play on film. This time it plays well because most of the shots that he's in are bigger shots. They're not. I mean, he is in a couple close-ups, especially when he is, getting. Yeah, well, right. He dies. He gets murdered. He gets fucking fucked up by the giant explosion. But most of the shots he's in are pretty wide shots, and his physical comedy plays really well. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that it's natural. It's not contrived. It's not forced.
But to this point now, the aliens are already here. They don't know what these signals mean, and they don't sound like signals to you. It sounds like someone farting into a toilet.
But Goldblum has an idea.
Because
specialist in something, remember?
He's a satellite technician.
That's what he is?
Yes.
You looked it up?
I looked it up.
Okay.
That's what it says on
Does it say who he worked for?
No.
Direct TV, I think.
No, it did say like a cable company, like he used to work for a cable company.
That makes sense now.
So, because satellite was starting to become a thing back in that time, I guess.
It looked like fucking Wall Street, like everyone was just trading stocks.
That's what I thought.
Newspaper, like news station or something like that.
The aliens have ships all over the world. This is not just the U.S.
We're like 12 locations.
Right.
But these ships come from one mothership, and each one of these ships is a giant disc that is like, I don't know, 10 miles wide.
That's what it said. It was like 15 or like 12 kilometers or something like that.
12 kilometers would be...
10 kilometers.
10 kilometers would be 6 miles.
6 miles, yeah.
So
like,
6 miles.
It's pretty big.
They move from the moon to Earth in a matter of hours. And
so like 26 minutes?
Yeah, and then it takes them forever. I guess they had to set up the death ray.
Had to.
Yeah.
We got to
get this online. Their Wi-Fi is down.
The transmission fluid needed changing.
Yeah, so Goldblum cracks the code because he's the only smart one in the movie and realizes that the signal is a countdown. Okay, and doesn't know what the countdown leads to.
But it's got to be bad.
It's got to be bad.
Can't be anything good. These aliens are only here to
and he says this in such a dramatic code, like, and then 0. And he like turns his laptop over or something, like where
his laptop with the built-in phone.
Yeah,
and then he comes out and yells at Harvey Fierstein to get the heck out.
Yeah, so
while he's hiding under his desk.
Get your mother. Get out.
And then we have this scene where they're like, "Oh, Jeff Goldblum, who's figured out everything. Let's take him to the president." And him and the president have some sort of falling out and this is where we get the next character
relationship, at least
his estranged wife.
I don't
even think they're fully divorced.
She's on the cabinet, right? Or like
she's like press secretary.
Something important to like the integral workings of the presidency, the every day-to-days. So she's like, I finally got the job, and like I'm doing something important now, and you can't la 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 la. And he's like, you don't pay attention to me. So they have a little lovers quarrel, and then
he has beef with the president because
he's taking his wife away.
He thought he walked into a room and thought the president was the man that she was having an affair with, and he punched him. That's what they said. And
which, if that actually happened, do you know what would happen to him?
He'd be in jail.
He'd be dead. The Secret Service would have fucking murdered him.
The line from Judd Hirsch, where he's like, "You punched the president?" he punched the president. He punched the president. And he says it like
and he was like, he
15
wasn't
times.
the president at the time. Blah, 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 blah. But
Whatever.
You know,
Might
He
as
punched
well
the
have been.
president.
but they're in the Oval Office at this point.
And his ex-wife, I guess
Estranged wife.
estranged wife
Still wears the ring.
was like, hey, he's figured out the code. You got to hear this. And he's
Listen
like,
to
and
him.
then we get to this point now where he's told the president. Everyone starts evacuating to places.
Because he's like, we gotta get out now. Gotta go.
Yeah,
Almost like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and he's got 9 minutes.
9 minutes to vacate the premises and then make it to Air Force One, which I will be fair, that maybe.
The president would not be in the White House with aliens everywhere.
No, they would already be. They wouldn't be in the fucking air either.
No, but he didn't want to go into the barracks. He didn't want to go down.
What a dumb
they-
dipshit move.
They would have put chloroform over him and taken him into a bunker. He would have not had a choice in this situation.
No, you'd have to think of, it's not about you. You are the leader of the free world. You have to do that. You can't just make dumbass decisions like that.
Yeah.
But like,
if you die, who's next in command for his little?
well, there's a lot.
And then that's when the other character comes in, which we're talking about now, is the Secretary of Defense. Is that who it is?
Zimwich or Zimvik or whatever the hell.
This guy, this fucking guy.
He is a
pencil pusher.
He is a complete asshole who instantly sees the aliens come out of nowhere and says, "We gotta nuke them.
Yeah, nuke them.
Nuke them."
They definitely don't have. They've mastered interstellar travel. They definitely don't have any weapons or defenses against our nuclear weapons. Dipshit.
Welcome to the U.S. Let's send 3 nukes up their ass, and we'll have a Bud Light by 3 p.m. and we'll be done with this.
Fuck that. We're gonna have a Bud Light while we launch them out. Yeah. While we waiting.
The aliens' death ray starts opening up. The girlfriend of Will Smith's character is a stripper.
Just making money.
Making money.
I know
Pays
that this
the
is
bills.
a jab of like at that time where they were like, oh, strippers are, down on their luck, all this other stuff. They really set that standard there. But
They did. No, she was clearly doing well for herself. She had a fucking house
in
LA.
Los Angeles,
I mean, good God.
and that was a nice house.
was a
Housing
nice
market wasn't
house.
that bad in the 90s. Don't.
Aren't you a real estate agent?
I was in my former life.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The former life in the Roman Empire.
So when the housing market was really at its best. So she's working, she's stripping, no one's there. Obviously, everyone is evacuating because they know that this is probably not good.
Some are evacuating. Some are having a party.
Great money if
Yeah,
no one's in the strip club.
which is really realistic.
That's very. We did, Chase and I did stop and say, yeah, that tracks.
And
That's
the,
for
the
now,
evacuation process here was realistically done because the roads were jammed. No one could go anywhere. Unlike another Roland Emmerich movie we just watched, Godzilla, where New York evacuated in all of 22 minutes and everyone was able to be safely out of the city.
in New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
nonetheless.
Yeah, and packed in too. Here, the roads are jammed. No one can get out. And it's causing people to not be able to leave because Will Smith's girlfriend's supposed to leave after her shift, which she could have called in sick that day. And
we
left
know the
with
aliens are here, but we got to go lap dance some old white fuck whose belly is over his pee-pee.
Call that Dunlap's disease.
Dunlap's disease?
Wait, is that a real thing?
Yeah, because your belly Dunlapped over your way.
We love all body types here, and all diseases are not. But that's pretty fucking funny.
But
Wait, what about those fucking losers on top of the building in LA?
to that, like, because that where leads to one of the strippers that she was friends with was like, I'm going after work to greet the aliens. And Will Smith's girlfriend is like, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
She said, no, she says, I don't want you going there and doing that, okay? Promise me you won't go. And she goes, I promise. That'll do it. She's done. She's definitely not going to go do that now. She still goes. They're on top. And this is when all of the motherships start unloading their payload that we had to set up for. We had to make sure the alignment was right. We had to make sure that the stars were in the right fucking spot for it. Why the fuck did
I
you do
literally think they got there and they like caught an episode of Friends or two, and they were like, "Yeah, all
okay.
that travel, like we're gonna take a break."
that? We got a little episode going on
But
here.
as to Kyle's point, they just absolutely eviscerate the world in
They
a
just
matter of
boom, boom.
seconds.
Boom, boom.
This was worse than any nuke you could imagine.
And we're going to
level,
gloss over a lot here, but like...
They level all of New York City, all of it.
My favorite part is Roland Emmerich destroys the Chrysler building in back-to-back movies.
He
Like,
does.
He does.
He fucking hates the Chrysler building, goddammit. Why don't we call it the Dodge building?
So New York is out like a light We go to Los Angeles. The stripper is on top of the one building that the alien was parked under, the alien ship, and she did not make it.
She didn't pull through, guys. Okay,
there's not enough Kingsmen that could put that girl back together.
That
again.
poor chick. That poor.
All these cities gone like this, and then we get this all inspiring because it is well done special effects.
Very well done. Even it holds up till today. Absolutely.
And I was like, man, these are great like CGI effects. No, it was done on miniatures. And that's where I found out. Yeah, it was done on miniatures, like Star Wars was. And they just destroyed the sets.
That's great.
That's why you get the building exploding and everything just looks so clean. And
I didn't have any problem. Like I wasn't sitting there like during Godzilla and
maybe
being
the
like,
best part of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, it was very well done.
I thought it was cheesy, but I loved the scene and the shots when the Air Force One was taking off and there was all those fire explosions in the background.
Yeah, very good.
It
very good.
Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. So because as Andrew mentioned, the president and all of his crew are in tow and. I was glued. I'll be honest. I was the plane was shaking, and then it has this dramatic part where the Air Force One barely makes it out of the explosion zone.
And then it just like which would track that plane is been built to withstand almost every single thing you could throw at it. Like it has multiple redundancies on it. It can withstand an EMP blast.
What's funny is they do that in the New York and the Los Angeles scene for most of it, and then you get. Will Smith's girlfriend, her son, and the dog are trying to escape into a Los Angeles tunnel, and they end up running as the blast is coming through the streets and making their way into a maintenance?
It was some kind of she kicks.
It was a maintenance store.
It had to have been a maintenance store in this tunnel, and she kicks the door open.
After like a third try.
This $1.15 woman just knocks it open. Good for her. They get inside. The dog, where clearly they were trying to establish that the dog was just sitting patiently outside waiting for his name to be called, jumps into the fire, licking his ball sack inside this maintenance shaft. They don't close the door, but they're fine. That whoever knows how hot explosion outside doesn't. They're inside a door, so it's fine.
It's also not the explosion would have made its way through that little doorway.
We're watching this thing blow the Chrysler building apart, tear up all these buildings. It would have collapsed that tunnel.
But a maintenance closet in a tunnel was safe.
It would have collapsed that tunnel. They would have died.
But talking about as a kid, that
ruled.
Absolutely.
That ruled.
I was like, they're safe and the dog is safe. Great.
You let that slide.
Yeah. Great. We'll let it slide.
I don't want to backtrack at all, but we didn't really even talk about Cousin Eddie and his
yeah, we did.
We need to discuss that real quickly before we can speed through the rest of this. But his character is important, so we can't forget him.
Also, Cousin Eddie gets introduced.
What's his name? What's that character's name?
Might as well just be Cousin Eddie.
And we're gonna call him Cousin Plain Eddie.
Yeah.
Plain Eddie.
Plain.
He's a crop duster.
He's a crop duster.
He's a drunk who's crop dusting. If you're that heavily inebriated, driving a car is pretty fucking hard.
So
piloting a plane
almost pretty effectively. He just
just the wrong field.
The wrong field.
So he goes to a bar and he's drinking some more, and these dudes.
It was a diner. It was a diner. They were
at the bar.
He was at the bar.
He was drinking a whiskey on the rocks. And some dudes there start making fun of him. And
weren't you kidnapped by aliens? Didn't they
do something sexual to you? What a fucking loser!
Yeah. And then when it all comes back around, they're the ones who are like, "We know his story. They did things to him."
Yeah, lying and forcing. But he claims he's been kidnapped by aliens, and that I think that's what led to his drinking. But he was also a pilot in Vietnam. Yeah, so that could have also led to his drink. So the man's had a rough life. So lay off of him if he wants to have a few Jack and Cokes and then fly a plane around.
And he also lives in an RV with his son Miguel and his children.
Miguel,
that dude was the worst actor in the movie. Miguel.
Yeah, that was some pretty bad 90s acting.
Like Keanu Reeves in
pretty bad 90s acting.
But he was awful.
He was awful, but he got limited screen time. Bill Pullman and Will Smith made hefty millions off this movie.
This dude was far worse than Pullman and Will Smith combined.
Say far worse.
No, I would. I say that with
far worse.
With fur.
After the explosions, he's like, "I told you, Miguel." I told you. So he hops himself into an RV and they get an RV militia together.
Yeah.
They stumble upon it in the desert.
Yeah.
They didn't get together. They stumble upon it in the desert, just
So-
in the middle of the
and-
Mojave.
Just to go ahead and start tying things together, they have this convoy of RVs that's traveling across a fucking salt flat in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
In the middle of the desert. And at this point, Will Smith has engaged in battle with the aliens, and he's flown his F-18C
Whatever. it is.
Hornet, and they get decimated.
Because the spaceship, not the mothership, it has like
As
force
a
field.
shield on it, but also the enemy spaceships are just far more maneuverable, and they have special pew pew weapons that go pew pew. Fucking dumb sound effects. Sorry, really fucking stupid. It's definitely one of those things that's like, okay, if this happened, would you really send all of your fighters in to greet it, or wouldn't you send in a B-52
Yeah.
Stratofortress with fucking cruise missile? Like,
They start flying into the air, trying to destroy these things. Harry Connick Jr. keeps like trying to give everybody these like pep talks.
Yeah, the Reverend. I don't know if that was Martin Luther King, but it kind of sounded like he was trying to do a MLK impression there.
It does not hold up.
He dies, so karma gets him.
Karma does get him because he can't breathe.
Yeah.
no, and oh my God. Sorry.
I'm gonna lead you into this. So Kyle, talk about this whole scene.
They go into battle. They send all of their fucking fighter jets in. Like, apparently there are none left. And without understanding what could come out of this or any other crap that come out of this, they engage in battle. They get fucking decimated. They are murdered, almost all of them. And they get chased into the high desert in Nevada, clearly. Everybody has their flight mask on, their oxygen mask, the little gray mask that goes over their face. Okay, I'm not a fighter pilot, okay? But I've watched a thing or two. I learned a lot, okay? You don't take that shit off. You keep it on because that's how you communicate.
This is supposed to be like highly trained,
very well
flight.
trained.
Yeah, and none of them were wearing their like he wasn't wearing his mask.
He wasn't wearing his fucking mask, and the other ones are pulling their mask into their face to talk in the microphone. And Henry Connick Jr. is just like talking, and everybody's understanding what he's saying. But they get to this point where he's banking really hard against pulling a lot of G's against this alien behind him, and he takes his mask off. First of all, if you're pulling that many G's, what you're not going to be able to do is be able to take your fucking hand up to your face because it's going to be glued down to your fucking legs where all your blood is, okay? It's not going to happen, okay? So he pulls it off of his fucking face like that's a thing. If you did that and you can't breathe, first of all, you couldn't do it. Even if you could, you wouldn't be able to fucking breathe. So why the fuck would you do it? And that apparently is why he just crashes and burns, and that's why he dies. Okay, great, cool, awesome job. Moving on.
Will Smith somehow manages to give the best flying he's ever done.
He essentially pulls like a cobra and just like almost arrests fully in the air, and then somehow makes his way up with enough airspeed to not crash with momentum into the side of the canyon wall. But the alien... Sorry, he crashes it.
They're both down because Will Smith crashes too. He goes over to the ship that crashes, somehow gets it to open up, and with one mighty Will Smith punch is able to knock an alien unconscious for like 30 days.
Like he just comes up squiggling, bibbling, blabbering, and he just goes, nah.
We don't know how soft their bodies are.
They said that they were wearing a hard exterior shell multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple times. So this alien is wearing basically armor, and Will Smith was able to knock him unconscious, not knowing if he punched him in the head or not.
It's Will Smith. He can do what he wants.
He's knocked unconscious and says, "Welcome to Earth." And I remember that being the famous line that was repeated multiple times in my youth. "Welcome to Earth." I remember we played flag football later on, and I remember some kids would score a touchdown and be like, "Welcome to Earth," and I was like, "We've all lived on Earth."
Cool, bro.
Yeah.
I've only
But he's in the middle of the fucking desert at this point, and he just starts dragging this thing in like 100 plus.
Oh, easy.
120, like Death Valley, Grand Canyon, high desert where it is.
They're in Nevada.
Scorching.
They're definitely in Nevada.
All you people out there in Radio Land, You would think that this would be the death of Will Smith, and his career should have been the career. And then what comes up out of the horizon?
The convoy.
The caravan.
RV convoy.
The RV militia.
Led by Cousin Eddie.
Cousin Plain Eddie.
Plain Eddie, excuse me.
Plain Eddie. It's not RV Eddie, it's Plain Eddie.
And then they decide they have the bright idea to take the convoy to where? Area 51? Because they're not
Nellis
far
Air
from Area
Force Base.
51.
No. In the Nevada Desert, no. They're fine.
But they know exactly where they're going in the middle of the Nevada
Right,
Desert.
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
With no GPS behind you, by the way. They get there.
Because they're a bunch of nut jobs. They all knew where this was.
They
Like
did.
these
That's where they're
people,
going anyways.
That was the most realistic part. Is a bunch of fucking like conspiracy theorists knowing where Area 51
That
is.
is a good point.
And then so the president is in Air Force One,
And they land.
and he's like, "Yeah, we don't have anything on aliens. We never know anything about aliens." And then the Secretary of Defense, who picks the worst time, like after millions of Americans are just wiped off the face of the earth, be like,
Well, I don't know about that.
We actually, that might not be entirely true, Mr. President.
That's exactly what he said.
They would have probably been like, "Hey, look, I know you don't know this, but with all these ships in the sky, yeah, let's talk." We cut to them going to Area 51. So now we have all of our main characters in this converging to Area 51.
Converging to Area 51.
Will Smith brings in the unconscious body. That's his ticket into Area 51.
So in Area 51, you're not getting within 10 miles of this place without being killed.
No,
and
absolutely.
they drive all the way up to the gates of Area 51.
Just casually, and they get greeted too.
They're
How can I help you,
with
sir?
RVs, militia. They would have been. You want to talk about the second nuke dropping? It would have been right there.
They would have been
Done. So a bunch of these RVs are driving up to Area 51, and the military's like, "Hey, do you have permission? Do you have clearance?" And I'm like, and so and Will Smith is on the back of Plain Eddie's RV. He has the alien, and he shows the guy the alien. He's like, "Oh, let him through, let him through."
And he lets everyone.
He lets.
through.
Yeah, that was what I
Not
told
just Will
Kyle. I was
Smith,
like,
but the entire convoy.
they don't have clearance.
Neither does Will. Nobody has clearance. God fucking damn it. Nobody has clearance to be here. But now all of a sudden, because an alien shows up, we might as well let everybody.
I can just imagine the director waving his hands at the entrance, being like, "Well, this was a pretty fun secret base we had for a while." Then we meet the crazy ass
Dr. Oaken.
Dr. Oaken. Oh, what a memory! He looked like if Raiden from Mortal Kombat just like was strung out on oxycodone.
Solely ate Cheetos and hot dogs from a vending machine.
Social disorder as well.
Many.
If this guy was the leader of Area 51, that secret was out of
Yeah, a long time
ago.
There was no. Yeah, we call bullshit on that. But he essentially is like, well, we got something pretty exciting to show you, and the president goes, I wouldn't call the last 24 hours exciting. And he gets really pissed at him. They have a little, he's like, no, I'm still going to show you, and I'm going to get really excited about
And he
it.
calls it the freak show. And here's what's funny to me. He shows the president the aliens that they captured and the ship that they captured, right? It's the exact aliens,
same way.
same alien, same species.
But from the 50s.
Right, from the 50s, but it's exactly the same. Why did we not fucking tell the president a long time ago, hey, this looks familiar.
President
We
can't
got
know.
something we need to tell you.
The American public can't know.
And the only thing this like jackal tells anybody is that they have like exoskeleton suits, like armor, that they have to peel back, and they found the body. So this is the first time we see the aliens without their suit on.
That whole scene that that was where I was like, okay, this is a little scary. Like this is a little scary.
And like I said, they were always like dropping like comedic one-liners, and they stopped doing that to set up the seriousness of the scene. So Will Smith gets his alien body there, and they're going to do an autopsy, a fresh autopsy, because this is new. They didn't have fresh bodies, I don't think, from the Area 51.
No, they had remains, but they weren't.
Again, this alien's been unconscious for
6 hours, 3 hours?
6 hours
Somewhere
from
in that range.
one
Something.
punch.
Being drugged through the desert, in which Will Smith is saying, you smell like shit.
And then
is he
they-
decomposing? What's happening?
They're trying to do an autopsy. They start cutting through the exoskeleton. The alien comes back to life and just absolutely
Just eviscerates everyone.
murders the shit out of everybody in
He
that room.
just fucking goes wholesale.
So how the fuck did Will Smith knock it unconscious with one punch?
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, suspend.
He gets Dr. Oaken by the throat and then shoves him up against the glass. And he starts talking in a voice that's clearly not his own voice.
He was using his tentacles on the voice
To control his voice cord.
yeah,
And then they're
which
like,
I thought was actually pretty
no,
cool.
it's great. That was a great little like power for
Yeah.
him to have. But nobody questions like through all that stuff. and the cord's around. The president's like, "Let him out of there. Let him. Help that man." And they're like, "Wait, no, hold on." And then he starts talking, and then they start figuring out. They start being able to communicate to the alien. They go, "Well, what do you want?"
He said, "Can we negotiate peace?" And he was like, "Peace, no peace."
Is that glass bulletproof? No. And the guy like smiles because he's been waiting to discharge his firearm. And so he's like, "No, sir," and uses a 9mm round to murder this alien.
And he just unloads a Beretta M9 into him, and just nothing left.
I love how a dude who had probably never stepped into that facility knew right away that it wasn't bulletproof. He just knew. He knew his glass well.
We go back and forth at the whole time where we see Will Smith's girlfriend trying to get to the Air Force Base to meet Will Smith, and she's like trying to help people. She ends up helping the president's wife, who her plane has crashed. And it's the same time that we were about to send the nukes off that we see this like, oh, she's helping people like in this humanity and recognizes she's the first lady. There was no like comedic jokes that didn't land in that one, or they weren't trying to force like comedy on us at that point. They send the nuke up and nothing happens. Everyone looks at the Secretary of Defense like, "I told you so, you sack of shit.
Stupid son of a bitch."
Robert Loggia's really disappointed.
Robert Loggia.
Yeah. Will Smith's girlfriend ends up getting the first lady out of there with a bunch of other people and finds
Area 51.
Area 51.
She finds it.
In
No
a couple hours,
GPS.
too. Couple hours.
No.
From Los Angeles, how long would it probably take you to get to Area 51?
I think it's about 3-hour drive from LA to Las Vegas. Probably about the same 3.5.
So let's say 3-hour drive. Now, Andrew, what would the same drive happen if all the roads in interstate were absolutely obliterated with building shrapnel?
Maybe 10. I don't know.
Maybe 10. So
let me get a take on
Maybe
this.
a full day.
Never.
She made good timing. So she ends up meeting Will Smith, brings in the president's wife, who immediately dies.
Immediately, we can't do anything
She's
for
got
her.
internal bleeding. We can't stop it.
Yeah, we can't stop
He
it.
takes it really well. You know.
Hey, he doesn't really cry. Is Mommy going to sleep? Yeah, she's sleeping.
That's that.
Yeah, that's it.
But now that we got that out of the way, now we can really move on to the real meat.
Here we go.
They try to nuke in Houston, it fails. They're like, "Oh shit, what do we do?" And then what happened?
So Jeff Goldblum, who's been working on this signal the whole time, like a little book nerd.
He's pissed. Remember, he's like throwing shit. And he's drinking, and his dad comes up to him. They have that conversation. That's when he gets the idea.
Yeah, he thinks he can figure out the signal that they were relaying through satellites, and he thinks he can upload a virus to the alien ship.
Yes, upload
The
a
alien
virus.
mothership, the one up near the moon, mind you.
Yeah, but like also,
How are they going to get there, Andrew?
and also, how do we know that their computers were like our computers? How are you going to fucking upload a virus to
Jeff
the
Goldblum
fuck?
knows.
It's a bunch of ones and zeros.
I'm so stupid. Please forgive me.
Kyle is
You're
dumb.
Forgiven. No one holds anything against you.
I did. That was dumb.
I wish you'd hold something against me.
Oh.
Well, anyways, Jeff Goldblum wants to upload this virus to their alien mothership motherboard. But how do they do that? They have to take the 1950s replica or version of the spaceship. I don't even know what you call those.
We don't have to call it the 1950s replica. It's exactly the same ship. We don't even have to put 1950s on it. It looks exactly the same. It is the same. They haven't updated it.
1950s. It's an older model,
It's literally like the difference between a 2023 Toyota Corolla and a 2024 Toyota Corolla.
Maybe 2017.
There's a lot of differences,
Maybe
Chase.
2017.
There's an all-wheel drive platform now.
That is a big difference, buddy.
This
Correct.
one is definitely a 2-wheel drive when they try to get it up out of the air. Will Smith's like, I can fly that thing. And
Yeah,
like,
all of a sudden,
Just like that.
I can fly.
And he gets in there in the bay. Jeff Goldblum is going to fly up to the mothership with him as his co-pilot.
Wow, they create a distraction just like Return of the Jedi, where they go down to the shield generator and create a distraction.
Another movie reference, Roland?
Another one rolling.
Maybe. And as they're flying out, Will takes the thrusters and rams it into the side of the loading bay, and he flips the controls upside down.
All-wheel drive, baby.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive.
And then they zoom out of there. They're up into outer space in a matter of minutes.
In minutes, which I understand because it's an alien aircraft.
Yeah.
While they're doing that, the president's going around and finding people that used to be pilots and that's when
Because only 15% of their air force left, or they're just their
right.
fighting forces.
They have nobody.
15% is what they say.
Millions are dead, and so he's like, anybody can fly.
You hop in this multi-million-dollar aircraft that
fires missiles
and takes years.
Cousin Plain Eddie volunteers because he's a crop duster and fought Nam, so he can.
Yeah,
be a
well, I
volunteer.
understand that. Like, he has like military flying
He does.
knowledge, but then they have like Deborah over there who was an accountant in her former life.
But she'll be able to get it.
paragliding.
No, Chase, shut up. She'll be fine, okay? This is super easy stuff we're talking about, okay? A thing that can go twice the speed of sound and can just, turn on a dime and just wreck itself. And shut up, Chase, okay? You don't know what you're talking about.
I'm so sorry. Now I'm being
Fuck
stupid.
you
dumb.
imbecile.
So
Piece of shit.
they have all these people ready to go, and then he delivers the speech. Everybody remembers. It's pumped me up as a child, where he's like,
It still pumps me up.
"Today
It's our Independence Day.
is our Independence
But
Day."
not for America, the entire world.
Entire world.
And that's where they got the
name of the movie, yeah.
They didn't have a name until
I was gonna ask if you guys knew that.
Yeah.
So the writers were pushing for the name of the movie to be Independence Day the whole time, and when the president gives his speech, they wrote "This is our Independence Day" into the movie and has him deliver the line, which is the best acting he did all movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the speech is
very
one thing.
powerful.
the speech is
invigorating.
great. The original movie. Do you remember it was like Doomsday or something?
I don't remember.
That's what they were going to call the movie. So it was just going to be called Doomsday, something lame like that.
fucking
And the writers kept pushing for it, and they're like, "Okay, we'll just write the name of the movie in there." So they have no choice
In
but
the
to,
most poignant part
right.
possible.
So and the speech is so awesome. They're like, "Fuck, now we got to call it Independence Day."
Must call it Independence Day.
So he makes this speech. Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith, they finally make it up to the alien mothership near the moon. They got there pretty fast. Like you said, alien technology, so I'm going to look past that. They get pulled in by the tractor beam or whatever, and they make their way into the mothership. It's massive. There's probably like millions
giant.
of aliens that are living in there.
Oh my god, it is
Millions.
is bigger than our fucking
And
galaxy.
it's pretty cool. Like the visuals are really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah, very awesome. And
You probably don't have a movie to this point that like kind of like takes you into this world. So into the mothership they go. They see this giant alien colony with, I don't know, millions and millions of lives there. For whatever reason, they go right to some docking zone where they're like magnetically locked into this motherboard, this system. Goldblum pulls out this, rinky-dink like computer-looking thing, and somehow, I guess, without using Wi-Fi or whatever, just
He hooks up the USB.
yeah, micro USB,
Micro USB.
and just uploads this virus that has a skull and crossbones little logo attached to it. And
did you guys catch that though? The virus, War of the Worlds,
Oh, very good. Yes.
defeating the
Yes.
aliens with a virus.
that makes sense.
Very good.
So another movie reference. Like, where are we on the board with all the movie references?
For him, in
Roland
this
just
movie,
loves to steal
we're at
things.
5.
Yeah, and Godzilla was just
Jurassic Park.
part 2.
I'm sure we find a common theme in the rest of his movies.
Oh, I wonder if there's a Jurassic Park reference coming up soon.
Oh, maybe not, though. Probably not.
No, I don't think so. Not with Jeff Goldblum, for sure.
So we go back down to Earth while that's happening. We figured it out. They dropped the shields just like on Endor. Wow, real original.
But the shields weren't dropped right away.
Not right away, just like in Return of the Jedi.
Bill Pullman.
It's a trap.
Bill Pullman shot a missile off, and it hit the force field or whatever, and
It's a trap.
They're like, disengage. He's like, wait a minute, I want to give this one more go, and he circles back around.
And then all of a sudden it's down. It took a second.
Direct hit.
Yes. They're hitting this thing with fucking AMRAMs and sidewinders, and the explosions being created are unrealistic to say the least. But
I believe it.
yeah, of course.
I believe what I'm seeing.
But we start decimating. We're getting there. We're finally 1-2 punch. Like, yeah, fuck you, you stupid fucking aliens. Like, you don't fucking know what it's like with American might behind it. Yeah, go shit yourself. But then everybody's out of missiles. Oh no, I got one. He's fucking dead. He gets yeeted. Oh no, we're out of missiles. Oh, who has one missile left, Andrew?
Cousin Plain Eddie.
Cousin Plain Eddie does, and he drives right in there and he goes, I'm coming at you, you suckers.
But wait.
Uh-oh.
and he says, "I'm coming." Does he say, "I'm back. I'm coming hard"?
No, almost. I'm coming hard, Daddy.
But wait.
No.
It malfunctions.
It malfunctions. It does. So
malfunctions big
what
time.
happens then?
He takes his jet and he flies it right into that little beam, the whatever you want to call
The
that.
death beam,
the death beam.
their destruction beam.
He was like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. I've lived a long life. I love my children.
Just keep in mind, this ship is 6 miles long. This guy rides his plane into it, and it blows the whole thing up.
the entire
The whole
thing.
thing up. But what does he say before he?
I'm back.
But he also says, "There's another thing, up yours," and he was so proud of that.
Yeah, because they went up his.
Yeah, and they were also like PG-13 guys.
PG.
Blows up the entire ship. It crumbles. Everything dies.
I will say, when I was a kid, though, I thought that was really sad. I cried a little bit when I was a kid.
I
was
did
like,
too,
it's
because
really sad.
Because the aliens have captured Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum's ship because they know that it's fake. Because they're like, hey, this ship's from 1958 or whatever.
They also opened up the windows of the
and saw the alien.
too.
They're able to somehow squirm free. Mm-hmm. I can't remember how they did it.
They just I don't.
They just
remember.
wiggled enough.
They just wiggled it out.
They just wiggled.
Oh, no. They shot the thing.
They shot the nuke, and I'm pretty sure that was a nuke. Wasn't that a nuke?
No, they shot in the thing. That was just the weapons from the thing, and it just caused a chain reaction inside of there that then just started. Yeah.
When that ship starts exploding is when all the other ships started going down. So I got a little ahead of myself. So they end up getting out.
Almost. Because what do they do, Chase? We have another reference we have to put in here.
So, we got two. Because
simultaneously.
So as they shoot the nuke, they're like, we got to get out of here. The timer starts going down, which I think is a million movie references at that point.
Absolutely.
So, but then they start chasing, and as they're leaving, the aliens are after them to try to, like, kill them, shoot them down. Jeff Goldblum says what first?
Must go faster, must go faster, must go faster.
Hitting the Jurassic Park train.
Have to.
And then what do we get, Kyle, after that? Right as the bay doors are closing, and they're able to shoot out of it. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at a Star Wars reference. Monster's Mouth.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Or the
when the Millennium
worm's
Falcon
mouth,
escapes the space worm's mouth, yes.
Gets out just in
Naturally.
time. Gets out just in time as the entire mothership just absolutely explodes. King alien dipshit. I think he wasn't even king. I think he was just the air traffic.
He was just the air
controller.
traffic
He was the guy
controller.
that was working that day.
He was like, God damn it.
Yeah, he eats a mouthful of nuke, and so blow up the mothership, and then that's when we see all the other ships going down across the world.
Because America had communicated with the Brits, who then communicated with the Chinese,
That would make
the world ends up winning at this point. We're waiting down on Earth. The president's like, "Welcome back, you bunch of accountants coming back fresh off your victory." So everyone comes back, and they're waiting for the arrival of Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum as they walk to the finish line in the desert. Yeah, they somehow crash landed in the same spot where they took off, which
Brilliant.
Brilliant, whatever.
Brilliant.
And they do the same Top Gun walk that we saw earlier, this time in the desert, and they're both smoking cigars.
I can't think of anything more refreshing than a cigar in the middle of the Nevada desert.
You're right. Wearing a full flight suit.
Full flight suit.
In early July.
Yeah, early
Easy.
July.
Yeah.
So
and then that
did that wrap
That's
us up?
That wrapped it up, and that was the ending scene.
I'm going to say this before we give our final verdict. I was more favorable on this, obviously, than Godzilla. Godzilla ruined my childhood. This one,
That was bad.
as a kid, I love this movie for the entertainment value of it. As an adult, I think there's still a lot of entertainment value to it.
Sure.
Some of the scenes still got me. I was still paying attention. I don't think anything was super egregious, even though there were a couple of actors, they shall remain nameless, who phoned it in for the paycheck, obviously. And plus the dialogue was horrible.
Bad.
The comedic element was just very off-putting to me. This time.
Untimely. Did not hold up.
It dated the movie really bad. The autopsy scene still holds up for me. That was terrifying. And as a child, I would always look at that scene and freak the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
And couldn't sleep at night.
No, that one was
creepy.
again, not the scare. Again, I think The Mummy takes the cake for the scariest movie as a
We'll
kid.
get to
But
that.
like as a kid, I was gripping my tiny little peener, just hoping that everything worked out in the end, and it did. But like as an adult, like you said, we watched it. We were engaged. We didn't turn it off, even though I wanted to turn Godzilla off when Andrew and I watched it. That was hard. That was tough. This one, in my mind, as a kid to now, it holds up.
And the 2.5 hour runtime was also like we didn't
appropriate.
They could have taken a few things out, but I felt it was
the scale of this movie, because I have to go back and remember as a child, movies that were epics like this that we were like waiting to see in theaters for months on end, they were always 2.5 hours, but they were events to go to. And we'll get to Star Wars and the Phantom Menace, and that was the ultimate event. But this felt like an event.
And we've talked about it. We've dissected it enough. There's definitely things that are wrong with it and whatnot. But I don't know. For me, I hold it in the same vein as like an executive decision or like Con Air, but even bigger and grander than that. Because think about it. I said at the beginning, it's the most stereotypical movie about an alien invasion.
It is. It really is
on
like
the
quintessential
grandest scale, and that was like the first of its kind.
I think as a child, that ooh and awe of watching the world just fall apart was big. And as an adult, it still doesn't get old to see these like set pieces that they actually build from scratch get blown away.
special effects as a kid. Like didn't really understand what that was. Now that I've worked on movies before, that I've seen how much time it takes to do this shit, that holds up tremendously.
I think it has rewatchability for
Absolutely.
sure. It's one of those that, like, you know, like I said, I watched this with my dad sitting on the couch on AMC, and I didn't get up. And I still feel like in 10 years, if this were to come on TV and it was on, I would watch it from start to finish.
Yes.
I would feel no guilt or remorse about it.
I 100% agree, and I think we all agree it holds up.
It holds up.
It holds up.
Can we give a rating? Just like out of a 10? I want to hear your all's.
A rating
like
out
an
of 10.
IMDb rating.
Without looking at IMDb, Chase, myself, Andrew will be looking at it. So,
I already have my score.
all right, we'll tell what your score is first.
I would give it like a 7.1. 7.1.
Okay.
I think that's a little too good. I'm 6.4, kind of because five is average, right? Five is
No,
average.
5 is
average.
bad. 5 is really bad.
If you're looking at a 10-point scale, 5's in the middle, and middle is just for me. But I think it's better than meh. But this movie, I'm not
The nostalgia for me.
The nostalgia is there, but this is
the
where I come.
rewatchability. Yes, there are so many things that are wrong with it, but you still are glued to it. It
But-
does something right.
Right, but the rewatchability. So think about it. Like we rewatched it as adults.
And I still very much enjoyed it.
I would not rewatch it again.
Oh, I would.
And I think that
I would.
I got my nostalgia kick out of it. I think if I had to sit there and watch it again, I'm just going to pick
See,
more holes into it.
I disagree with you. I like it, and honestly, we shit on it a bunch, but like I could have gone without half of that, and I would feel okay with where I'm at.
I disagree with both of you. I think it's a 6.8 to disagree with you on the score, and I disagree with you. I think it's rewatchable. I think you can rewatch this again. If this popped on TV over all the interminable dross that's on there now, I would watch
Yeah, I
this
thought you
over
said
that.
that. I thought you agreed with me when I said that a second ago.
Don't
Yeah.
get it.
I again, in my opinion, is 6.4 is not bad. Like I think that is a solid score.
To put some
It's
reference on this, I would give the most recent Star Wars movie that came out a 4.5 out of 10.
Exactly. Like
So,
I'm a little more brutal on those. Like I think a 7 is like 8. Let's do this. 9 is like
Once in a
like,
lifetime.
I'm bleeding.
There is no 10.
There
I've
is
never-
no 10.
there is
We
no
do not
10.
give
It's
it-
tough to get into the 8s.
I don't even give anything above a 9.2. I think a 9.2 is like legendary.
What do we think it is on
It was
IMDb?
even 7.
Even 7.
Even
Okay.
7. Well, that's it. Let's put a bow on that one. Let's put a nuclear blast on that one.
Let's nuke it, even though we don't know what
Okay. So, Roland Emmerich, you got your second chance and you came through for us. And so, you know what that means. We just dove deep inside your childhood nostalgia, found Independence Day from your past, and found out it holds up, which surprises me.
We'll be watching more of your shit soon.